Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, you are live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our the inaugural Public Arts Commission meeting. Today, February 3rd, 2021. So let's get started, and I would like to welcome Mayor Dan Horgan.
Well, thank you. First, I appreciate all of your hard work and willing to serve. This is obviously very important to me. I remember that, and we all have those defining moments. I have them a lot more these days when I kind of realized, and maybe it was just always there. I knew that the arts were important, but I didn't really understand the connections of what it could be for the city of Akron. And we had an arts debate about 5 years ago, and to me, it kind of crystallized how important it is to have some sort of plan. And I remember meeting with Nicole very early on, and this is before we did the Public Arts Commission, before we did anything that I think was a little bit more formal. And just hearing, I think, some of the passion about what people want to do. And quite frankly, as an institution, and this isn't good or bad, but sometimes it's government and it's not good, but we were kind of in the way. And so what I wanted to do was kind of put a process and say, listen, let me get out of the way. And how do we find, and let's get experts involved and say, listen, this is what we should be doing. This is what we should be playing. And that was all the impetus for, the Public Arts Commission. That was important to me because I wanted somebody to own it. And I didn't want somebody to come to me and say, hey, what do you think about this mural? What do you think about this song? And to me, art is subjective, and as it should be. And I like a lot of different forms, but it shouldn't have to go all through me. It should be a community effort. It should be from everybody. And so as we went through this whole process, I couldn't be more pleased with the result. I'm excited about where it's going to go. I think lighting the city up with different voices and how we augment those and how we support those is one of the key things for me. And so I appreciate your involvement. If you're involved in education at all, I like to consider myself a lifelong learner. I learn things all the time about what's better for the city. And I know this is going to be a great effort by all of you. And so I look forward to what we come up with and what you suggest and working with all of you to make it successful. So thank you. I will wrap up and turn it back over to Summer. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Horgan. First, we'll get started with the introduction of the Public Art Program. I would like to introduce Nicole Mullet with Arts Now and Amanda Golden with Designing Local.
Thank you, Summer, and thanks for all of the hard work that you, Mayor Horgan, and the team at the city have been doing. This was not a light lift to get us to this point, and to see all of your faces on the screen right now, I think I've told you before that it's an emotional experience, and we're really, really thrilled and excited to be at this point. And I'll say again that your fingerprints will forever be on the way that our city looks and feels because of your involvement in this first year of the Public Art Commission. So thank you very, very much. Amanda and I are going to just very quickly provide a little bit of background on what brought us here today and the cultural planning process. And I think, Amanda, with your permission, I can start with the cultural plan and then let you cover sort of a broad outline of the public art plan as a whole. Would that feel?
That sounds great, Nicole. Thanks.
The cultural planning process really began, and Mayor Horgan referenced this, with his passion and desire to see more art in more places for more people in Akron, with a belief that beautiful things and open spaces are a basic human right, and how do we move towards that as a community? So over the upcoming years, a lot of research was done and time and investment made to get us to the point where Knight Foundation and GAR Foundation invested in a 12 to 18 month study that occurred over the course of 2019 and the first part of 2020. And the cultural plan identified 10 priorities, one of which is the plan for public art, which you will be carrying forward. But I think it's important to note that the entirety of the plan, including the content relative to the work that you're undertaking, was driven by the community. This was a very intentional, inclusive process that we wanted to make sure that the residents of Akron were being heard and that this was their plan. And it is a great source of pride that I feel that we were able to get to that point, and also an honor to, as we're at this point of implementation, to continue to carry all 10 priorities forward. The priority that I am leaving in your excellent hands, always a support to you, but trusting you with, is the 10th priority around public art. And at this point, I'll let Amanda Golden share what that turned into, that work.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I am excited to be here on your first meeting. And as Nicole shared, this is a very big deal. You should be very excited for all that you're about to embark on. One of the major outcomes of the cultural plan is the public art master plan for the city of Akron, which essentially operationalizes all the policies necessary to have a strong program that will allow you as commission members to make decisions on behalf of your neighbors and your friends and your family. I am here as a resource for all of you. If you have any questions about process, that's my role here today. And you know, the plan really outlines what your role is and what those policies are that you're going to be following. And it's something that we're very proud of. It's something that the community is very proud of. And we're excited for this next step.
Thank you, Nicole and Amanda. So just going off of our agenda, the dates for the commission meetings will take place on February 3rd, April 7th, July 7th, October 6th, and December 8th. Those will fall on Wednesdays from 3 to 4:30 p.m. The website information is akronpublicart.com. The website has all of our information as far as profiles, your bio, the meeting dates, how to link on to watch the meetings, and also more information to come soon. Next, I would like to introduce the commission members. If you guys could just wave your hand so everyone will know that it's you, that would be great. I have Lauren Alexander Butterworth, Jill Bacon Madden, Katie Beck, Larissa Brown, April Couch, John Fumey, Dara Harper, Danica Stevenson, and Kat Wentz. Again, I would like to say thank you everyone for all your hard work we've done so far. We have a lot more to come, and I'm very excited to take this journey with you all. Next on the agenda is the election of officers. And Von Shea helped me out with this. So I reached out to everyone and asked who would be interested in taking on leadership. And so the information that I received back was Kat Wentz would like to be chair. Larissa Brown would like to be vice chair. Dara Harper, secretary. And Jill Bacon Madden, treasurer. We would like to take a vote to approve the slate. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any against?
Aye.
Any against? Say nay. Or do we need to bring this back to the attention towards the next meeting? Okay, it looks like the ayes have won. So I would like to congratulate Kat Wentz on chair, Larissa Brown as vice chair, Dara Harper as secretary, and Jill Bacon Madden as treasurer. Congratulations. Okay. Moving on, overview of funding. The TIF is occurring funds, but there's not really any money there at this present time. So there is no budget for art for this year of 2021. I would say keep your eyes open and review our website. Look for days ahead for new information and instructions. Public land donations and public art will be available in the days to come. Next, I would like to introduce Vonche Brown to review, discuss, and adapt commission rules and policies.
Thank you, Summer. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. Glad you guys are getting off the ground and now you can start doing the artwork. So I'm just here to walk you guys along the rules and organization for operation. You were given the authority via the ordinance that was passed by the city of Akron, 105.03D, that allows you to modify rules, create rules regarding your meetings and procedures, things of that nature. I believe that you all have a copy of kind of the draft rules. So what I will do is first just say that any questions, concerns, anything you need explanation on, please feel free to stop me along the way. If it is a legal question, I'm happy to answer for you. If I don't have the answer offhand, it is something that I'll have to do some research on, and then I will get back to you once we've confirmed what the answer is. If it's something that's more along the lines of you all don't want the rule, or you want to change the rule, you want to expand it, that's all within the authority that the ordinance has given you all. So then you can open it up for discussion if you guys want to talk about, well, I don't really like it, I don't really like the wording, and then you can discuss how you would like to change it or adapt it or take out, or you can add any rule today or as you move along. I want to remind you all that it is a working body of rules. So if you see something or notice something somewhere down the line that you like, okay, maybe we need to change this rule, or maybe we need to add a rule, you can certainly do that. Just has to be brought in your open meeting and discussed that way. Seeing as though you guys all have the questions, what I will do is first, it's very unlikely that you guys don't have any questions or don't need explanations on anything, but I will start with the off chance of if there aren't any specific questions or there aren't any specific concerns about any of the rules, then we can go to the specific sections that I have starred that you guys still have to confirm some things on. So I'll just start with that. If there are no questions or concerns, then I'll just move to the specific rules. And feel free to unmute yourselves and let me know. I'll take silence as you guys like all of the rules. Okay, well, that's surprising, but we'll move on then. I will say the one thing that we likely will have to change is that you guys have added an additional officer, which is a treasurer. So I will add that to the rules as well, which is section 7 as well, that talks about the roles of the officers. Right now it just has the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. So we will add a subsection D and add the treasurer and a brief description of what their role would be. And if there are any suggestions or any language specifically that you want in the rules in terms of what the treasurer's role and responsibilities will be, feel free to let me know and I will add that as well. Okay. So the first one I will go to then is number 4, which is commission powers and duties. Specifically subsection C, it says to present an annual report of commission activities. Is that going to be to city council? Is it going to be to the mayor? Is it going to be to both? Just needing to flesh that out a little bit more so you all know who or the public will know who you're presenting this annual report to.
think that's something I have to look more into, but I do know the annual report will definitely go to EDCC, to council, and definitely to the mayor. If there's anyone else, then I will confirm.
Hey, Summer, could you define EDCC for us? I come from education and there's too many acronyms in my head to.
Oh, no problem. Well, it was called at one point in time economic development. Now it's Office of Integrated Development. So we still use the term for EDCC, or economic development, the council. It's just a group of members of the city, a lot of managers that look at all of the different development that we have going on in Akron. And they just have weekly meetings.
So Summer, did I understand you correctly? You're going to follow back up with this, or is this for discussion now?
If you have some input, please do.
Just the immediate input that I have just has to do with, I think it's extremely important that we keep the work that we're doing as transparent and out there as much as possible, so that it also brings attention to the overall arts and culture plan and the importance of the arts and culture in the city. So whether that's to city council, I think should be highly considered. Because I think overall, the more communication we have in general about all of this, the better off the entire community.
So would you like to also present that report as part of one of the open meetings in terms of transparency?
I would take everyone's nod as a yes.
Yeah.
To present the report to city council. I'm sorry, Jill, you were saying?
I said, yes, I think so.
Thank you. You guys feel free to come off mute and let's have a conversation.
Okay, if there are no more comments in regards to the presentation of the report, I'll move on. Okay, the next section then will be section 8, subsection B. Or I'm sorry, yes, subsection B, and then number 1. So you all have also the ability to determine when you select your officers each year. Preliminarily, we put February, since the first meeting is in February of this year. But if there is a different month, if there's a different time of the year that you all as a commission would prefer, we can switch February out for any month of the year.
Well, I think February would be probably a good one, because I think most of the time everyone is switching out in January. So that'll give us enough time to make sure that we're presenting out to a to city council, getting any feedback that we need to have for everyone to come back in into roles.
I agree.
Me.
Okay. Okay, and then the next subsection then will be 19, or I'm sorry, the next section will be 19, subsection D. In regards to notice, if the commission would like to give notice to artists or entities that either have been approved or denied for commission, and if you do want to give notice, how would you like to give that notice? During a meeting, sending out a letter, posting it, to the website? I'm just looking to get more information on how the commission would like to move forward with notice, if you would like to have notice or send notice.
Is this specifically like a notice to go out saying we have this project, if you're interested, please apply? Or is this a notice like you were accepted or rejected? Accepted or rejected. I don't think I would want to put it on the website. I would want to do something a little bit more personal. So either an email or a letter.
I think, is it fair, Vanche and Summer, that might be something that Submittable could also help us with? It sounded like Alyssa had some ideas on how to generate things quickly to put out responses, if that's helpful. I don't know, Vanche, if you need that level of detail, though.
If you want that level of detail, I'm more than happy to put it in. It's really up to the commission. It's your working body. So whatever you guys want to do in terms of the response, I'm happy to do it.
I think what I've seen in other processes like this tend to say like electronic communication suffices. So whatever tool that we decide at that moment, and it also doesn't lock it in that Shay has to go back and change because something changed in the system or something of that sort.
Submittable is standard now, and it still can be personable as far as a small note of appreciation for filling out to ask to be a part, but it's standard now. So I think to go with that, it makes it easy and to keep track of all of that.
Okay.
I want to, excuse me, I want to add to that as well. I think since we're living in an electronic world, electronic is okay, but I think a letter would be more formal. We need something more formal as well. So I think a letter with that, maybe in the email, you will also receive a letter. Also too, I want to add to that. My question is, let's say someone was rejected and they want to appeal that. Is there an appeal process? Will there be an appeal process in case somebody's questioning why they were rejected? Is there a process that happens if someone has a complaint or wants to appeal it?
There is not a process in the draft rules. If you all want an appeals process, that is something that I may have to look into further, but essentially you're the commission. If you want them to be able to appeal, then that's something that you all can certainly do. And I can research a little bit further on how we can create an appeals process for it.
Amanda, do you have a response to that?
I would not recommend creating any kind of appeals process. When you select an artist, everything will be in a public meeting. The selection committee will be presenting to you as a commission. They will present the reasons that they selected the artist they selected. And the city will follow their normal procurement practice, in which there probably is not an appeals process. We do not want to encourage people to appeal the commission's decision to select an artist to create artwork. So I would just not allow that. And then you'll have score sheets that your selection committee will develop when they're scoring artists. And should someone be interested in understanding why they were not selected for a commission, you'll be able to provide that. And that'll be public records, part of the public record.
Okay, so if somebody was rejected, are they able to apply again? And would there be a time frame? Like, do they have to wait 6 months, a year before they reapply? Or like, is there something in there that says that when they can reapply for something?
Well, because these opportunities will be on a case-by-case basis and a project-by-project basis, they can apply as many times as they want. In fact, I think that you all would want to encourage as many applicants as possible to put their qualifications in to be selected from the pool of artists. So just because they weren't selected for, the first commission does not mean that they are not eligible for all of the other commissions. So it would just be for that specific project that they wouldn't be selected. And I always like to, and I think it's nice to say, thank you so much for your submission. We really appreciate the time that you took to prepare your qualifications package. We really hope that you will apply in the future for projects as they, come out. Please check back akronpublicart.com for more information in the coming months, or if you know that calls are coming out, you can, say, we have a couple of calls that we know are coming out in the fall, or, whatever that looks like, just to be encouraging and not, so like there's an end, if that makes sense.
And that's actually a standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe we can work on something like that. I'm sorry, regarding the letter, because I don't want it to feel like like that automatic message you get when you weren't selected for a
Right.
job. We get that
Yeah.
standard. For those that didn't get a job, you get that standard
Sure.
reply. And so we
Sure.
need something a little more formal, because a lot of these artists take their work seriously. And if they were rejected for a
course.
project, especially for something that they really, really wanted, I just want to make sure that, we send them the letters really nice, and that, they're not complaining. And I want to appeal, that we can prevent any of those things from happening.
Sure. And those record keeping practices are really important, so that when an artist does, if they do have some issues with what the selection was, you're able to provide those comments from the selection committee and the process in which the selection happened. That's the other very important part here.
So if we don't want to call it an appeals process, but there is some means for folks to come back and say, hey, why wasn't I selected? And for us to then share score sheets or whatever, do we need to create a process for that? A post-rejection review, or here's how you do it. You submit a letter, you ask the question, where does the letter go? What?
I think that would just be an email to Summer, don't you think? Since everything is public record, the whole process is so transparent. I think it would just be an email to Summer requesting it.
Yes, that would essentially, if they're asking for documents that you all have completed as part of your meeting, that would be a public records request. And we have an email for public records request, and one of the attorneys that work for the city of Akron will fulfill that request. So that wouldn't necessarily be on you all, beside the fact that either Summer or someone from the city will advise or will collect the score sheets and any other documents that they request that relate to why they were rejected or approved or not accepted. So that would be kind of a standard process, or they could send it to the public art email that will then be forwarded to the city of Akron, and then the request will be fulfilled.
Good. So then we don't need to add anything.
No.
Great.
Anything they request, we can certainly get to them, because you all are a public body. So anything that you do, they can have the records.
And we want to remember that in these processes, you could have 150 to 200 people applying. And if 199 said, I want a review of why I wasn't selected, that can't happen. That does not happen and should not happen. And that should not be Summer's responsibility. So, and you as a commission do not want to set the tone for that type of behavior to be what is expected, because Summer has 100 other things that she's doing in addition to this commission, and this cannot take up all of that time. And then the program would quickly become something that the city did not want to have any longer, because it would just be so clunky, for lack of a better word.
This is our artists, most people who have applied for public art commissions in the past know this. They know the standard. Dara's nodding, and they know what this looks like. They know how the process should go. Those who don't are going to learn as we go along, which is why we're so excited to have you in the commission in this role. But we aren't building something that's never been built before. We have best practices to look at, which is the expertise that Amanda brings with her. And I think we also don't want to set up our artists to have expectations when they go into a different city and suddenly they encounter an entirely different process in the rest of the world. So that's all.
I think also to make sure we have a strong criteria, a strong rubric when we do those score sheets, that there is no holes, there is no things that can be questioned. And I think if we keep correct data and why and how this person was picked versus this one, I don't think it will be any discrepancies if we stay strong to that. Because like Ms. Nicole said, as an artist, you come in, you present your work based on what they asked you. If you didn't get it, as an artist, if you want to be a successful artist, you got to keep at it. Just because they say no doesn't mean you just outright not good at all. It's just that may not be their fit at that particular time, but you keep going, and to just, as us as the commission, to continue to perpetuate that, just keep applying. We, like Amanda said, just, okay, next fall, we can do those things. But if we keep strong records, then no one can question or say, well, why you didn't do this, and keep it moving. It is laborsome to try to explain, even with teaching kids, why. Look at the rubric. This is what I'm asking you to do. Try again. It's not the end of the world. This is not it.
Any other comments or questions in regards to that topic?
Have we established already inside of our, I guess this is a little bit off topic, have we established already how we will be receiving submissions from artists?
So the artist will apply through Submittable, and that should be up soon on our website.
Okay.
And then once we get that, we will receive notification of the artist, and I will forward all of that to you, as well as there's going to be a training for all of you commission members on Submittable also. We all can't get on at the same time due to licensing, but I have access, and we can probably get someone else access to be able to review the applications and print them out or forward them to the group. So we haven't figured out yet how, to send it to each person, but we will soon, as soon as it's live.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Summer, I have a question. So reading through kind of the guidelines in the cultural plan and what's on the website, there is discussion of an artist selection committee. Is that going to be separate? Are these applications going through that committee first, and then the commission will determine whether or not they will commission it? Or is that committee kind of encompassed in the commission?
So the selection committee, and correct me if I'm right or wrong, Nicole or Amanda, but once you submit an application through Submittable, the commission will review it. If you would like to have your piece put in like a certain neighborhood, so instance, just throwing out maybe Kenmore area, the selection committee will be a group of maybe residents along with the commission to kind of look things over and make sure that this is a good spot where the art piece would be a good location for. So we don't want to just throw, put things in the community without the community being aware of it, because we want to create, ownership and make sure we're doing things right in the respect of our community and our residents in Akron.
Okay, so then the way that it's written now, I will probably have to tweak that rule as well, number 17, because I read it as all of the applications would go through the selection committee first, but really the commission is reviewing first. And then a selection committee within a particular neighborhood or area is then going to have some input on that piece of art. Is that correct?
So go ahead, Amanda.
Vontae, actually, the selection committees are just set up when the city is the commissioning body.
I see. That makes sense.
So, and the selection committee would be making their recommendation to the full commission. So, for instance, let's say the city of Akron has $100,000 and they want to do a sculpture in a specific neighborhood, and they put a call out. When they put the call out for qualifications for artists, they can go on and submit their qualifications on Submittable, and then during the time that is open, Summer and the commission will be working together to create the selection committee. And there are some guidelines as to who sits on that, but really that's about getting broader community voice to be involved in the process. So they would select a selection committee, and once all of those qualification packages were submitted, then the selection committee would meet and review that material. At that time, they would say, you know, we're interested in having 3 or 5 finalists to actually create proposals. So they would create, or they would determine who those finalists were. And then the commission and the city of Akron would invite those artists to create actual proposals for whatever that sculpture was in that specific neighborhood. That selection committee would then reconvene when those proposals were ready. And there would be one commissioner on that selection committee. And the selection committee would make their decision based on those proposals. And then that commissioner who's sitting on that selection committee would then present the outcome of the selection committee meeting to the full commission, and the full commission would vote to accept the recommendation of the selection committee to contract with artist A for this piece of work.
Okay, that makes sense.
And when there is community generated or community generated public art that people are interested in placing in neighborhoods that is on public land, publicly owned land, so in the public right of way or on a public building or city facility or in a park, they would come to the full commission for approval for that. No selection committee would be formed in that context. You may, and let me just, this doesn't have to go in the bylaws, but the commission may say, well, we know that this park has a lot of ownership from the neighborhood. Before we make a decision on if we're going to allow this piece to be placed in this park, we would like to put a survey out that the neighborhood would be able to take, or we would like to, you know, notify the neighbors within this amount of space, something like that. But that would be at the discretion of the commission.
Vanshay, when do the rules need to be finalized and voted upon that we're covering tonight? I wonder, there's still some conversation ahead regarding like the realities of permitting and submittable and all of that stuff in the future. Do you think is it something that could be revisited? Or do you feel like we probably need to move through it tonight?
No, absolutely. We don't have to move through it tonight. In fact, some of the other commissions in the city have taken multiple meetings in order to flesh out everything they want in the rules and adopt them. So that's another thing that I probably should have started with is it is not alarming if we don't adopt the rules tonight. We have plenty of time to do that, and multiple other commissions have taken 2 or more meetings, even 3 or 4 meetings, to actually get the rules adopted the way that they feel they can move appropriately with those rules. So there's definitely time.
Summer, I defer to you and Kat and the new officers, but I wonder if, you know, just so everybody knows, some of the conversations around like the technical where paperwork goes and when are still ahead of us. And so I wonder if it would be helpful to have some of that finalized before we get too far in the weeds in that. But I am a happy advisor, not a commissioner.
I will say the same thing. I'm also not a commissioner. I'm an advisor, but Nicole is right in that regard. There are some things that are coming up, discussions that are coming up that still need to be fleshed out. And it may be beneficial to, since the next meeting isn't until April, to let some of these things flesh out over the next, month and a half or 2 months. And that way you can 100% solidify your rules without waiting for something or with the anticipation that something may have to change depending on what those discussions are. But again, just a legal advisor here.
Waiting sounds good to me.
Yes.
As we continue to review the rules, who should we communicate our thoughts about the rules? Should we send it to you, Summer?
Yes. And then we still will have more trainings to come about. But yes, feel free to submit the rules to me and I can share them with the group. as well as you all have each other's email address. You can send that in an email, the commission email.
Jim,
Yes.
this is a question for you. When the commission communicates with each other via email, am I correct in that's public record?
Yes, all
Okay.
emails related
Okay.
to commission work or thoughts or anything of that nature are public records. So that's just a friendly reminder that anything that you send via email to anyone related to the commission will be considered a public record. And if someone wanted to request your emails related to the commission, they very well could. And they, by law, statute, they would be able to get them.
So you cannot make fun of my hair because I could request those records and then I would know. But
Yes.
just a good reminder.
Yes.
So I probably would say send your questions to me. Let me investigate and find the correct answer if I don't know. And then I will get back to you all with the question and the answer, if that works.
And
Does
you
that
can
sound
also
good?
feel free, sorry, didn't
Oh,
mean
no.
to interrupt.
No, you're
Summer.
fine.
If it's anything related to the rules in terms of like legal things, you want to know if we are legally compliant with the Open Meetings Act or any other rule or ordinance or statute, there is attorney-client privilege. So you don't have to worry about if you send an email about a legal question that you don't know or want more information on. I certainly can respond to those and help you out if you send those to Summer. Any of the trainings, if I am present at the trainings and you guys have a question that you want to ask to make sure we're doing things, in compliance and in accordance with anything in terms of, again, the Open Meetings Act, rules, ordinances, all of that, feel free to ask those kinds of questions anytime. That kind of stuff is not open to public record because of the attorney-client privilege as it relates to the commission.
Thank you. We have a great team. Are there any other questions or concerns? Yes, Jill?
Back to 17, since that is sort of the one and only mention of artist selection committee in here, and you're going to expand on it to clarify the process of going through, are you also going to add some sort of definition about what is the artist selection committee, or where does it come from, or how is it established?
I think that's something we're going to.
It sort of comes out of nowhere.
That's actually outlined in the policy that the city adopted. So that's in the document, and the city has adopted that as policy. So while it is okay that it might be in the bylaws, it is outlined that the process to select the selection committee is in the policy, which is a very large, long document.
Yes. It is very large and very long.
Yes.
With 17, I put it in initially as kind of a courtesy for anyone who was reading the rules to see kind of where you're getting applications from. But now that I have a better understanding that that is not for every single application, I can completely take it out, or I can expand on when the commission and the artist selection committee kind of work together. So if that's something that you want a little more explanation in regards to when you want, opinions from the community and the community voice to be heard, certainly I can flesh out that section so they know kind of what the role of the artist selection committee is as it relates to the commission.
Thank you.
Members, would you like that?
I was thinking that definitely we probably need to flesh it out a little bit so they'll know when we get community input and when we're not making that commission. And I think that would be great for everyone to know that, so that they'll know that certain things don't have to go through the commission. Right.
Right.
So I think if we flesh that piece out, and then it don't have to be exactly the details, but they need to know when it would go through this commission and when it would not go through the commission.
We'll do that.
So again, a lot of this is in the original chunk of information, right? I mean, a lot of it's in the,
Yes.
I think that this is just supposed to be the overall view or rules of how this body operates.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure if we need to be diving into those details since they're already documented. When I look at how somebody would read this, I would just, especially if I was somebody from the public, I would read it as like, okay, how does this Public Art Commission function? And then know to get the true details would come from the other already created document.
And that document has been publicly available and still is on the website for, gosh, over a year, Amanda, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
over
that
here.
was kind of the balance for me is this is part of the cultural plan. Like you said, it's been on the website, it's been out there for a long time, but it's kind of giving the plain view of like how this body is going to function and what kinds of things you will be looking at as you determine what you will and won't commission. Again, just that plain side view, very, very broad. Unless you guys want to get more specific on rules, but the document itself is very long, and not everything in the culture plan necessarily is applicable to your specific duties on this commission. Like the artist selection committee, I tried to include a small section just so they know that there's some interaction between the selection committee and the commission. And I understand fleshing it out so that they understand when that occurs, when there will be, engagement between this committee and the commission. So if it isn't direct engagement between you and another part of this overall cultural plan, I did not include it because this is supposed to be more for the operation of the commission, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So then, is there any way to just reference that plan?
For 17,
Well, not necessarily for 17, but is there any way to just reference it?
overall in the rules. Yes.
This reminds me, so I used to, well, in name, I'm still a public art or public health commissioner, although all of the public health services are contracted to the county.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been through this process before, and it sort of reminds me of how at that time, how the City of Akron's Public Health Commission operated. But for instance, we didn't get into the details regarding how often we sprayed for pests or anything of that sort in the city, or mosquitoes, or what did we do with any type of disease outbreak and things of that sort. But the Health Commission itself would address those issues as necessary, or even like the smoking ban and things of that sort. So there might be an opportunity to just reference the plan or specific sections of the plan.
Okay.
And we can also, take another look at these rules and make notes and then come back to the drawing board and kind of hash these out a little bit more.
Yes.
That way we don't have to do it all here. We can, do it at a later date.
Yes, this is again just your first draft, so feel free to comment as much as you'd like. I'm here to help you guys figure out a working body of rules that works for you as a commission. So whatever you would like, again, as long as it's within the ordinances, the statutes, and the Open Meeting Act, I'm happy to adjust the rules for you.
Perfect.
I think though this section right here is very important because then this is the selection of even convening and talking about how this public art is being displayed. So it's like I'm hearing is many ways. So if the commission wants to commission something versus the city wants to commission something versus someone in the neighborhood think they should have something. It seems like it's various ways, and how to be clear how we go about where it's fair, and that, okay, we're not taking just all city recommendations, or we're not just taking all neighborhood recommendations or all artist recommendations. How do we navigate that so when we leave this commission to the next people for the next 2 years, they're clear how we encounter each and every commission versus whoever comes with it. And I think this part is a little sketchy, because when you saying a selection committee, well, who gonna choose? I know we may have said it, but who are we choosing to select that part? Whether it's the commission choosing someone from the neighborhood or vice versa, any of that. I think this should be cleared, if nothing else.
But this might get a little confused because Dara, that's like on page 9 of the Akron Cultural Plan, the artist selection methods. There's all these different, open competition, limited or invitational.
Yeah, but we keep talking about this selection committee, so that's kind of thrown in the wrench. So
well, actually, what we're going to do is, this is just the draft right now of the rules. So what we're going to do is we're going to review the draft, make your comments, write your thoughts down, and send them to me. And I can collaborate all of your thoughts. I can, we can talk amongst, well, not really talk amongst, but I can get them over to Vanche, and she can look at everyone's comments and questions and then incorporate it into the rules. But right now, this is just the draft. So you guys all have the rules of organization and operation. So feel free to look it down, dissect it, make your notes, and send all of your questions and your thoughts to me. Because right now, we're all going to have different opinions. So let's just, write it down, and then we can, go from there.
I think the other thing that's going to be helpful is we're going to present you with flow charts so that the plan, you can see it visually, how things move through. Because I know that it's a hefty document. The cultural plan is over here. The plan for public art itself is a hefty document. So it might be good to revisit that as well as you're looking at the rules, because it really is very, very detailed in how a commission operates, and I think will be helpful. But yeah, I think it's great, Summer, and I'll work hard. I need to pick up some speed on getting Vanche what she needs relative to some additional conversations. So she's been very gracious with me. So I know you're waiting on me for some things, Vanche, so I apologize.
That's okay.
I'll get those to you soon.
Yeah, no problem. And once I have all of your questions and your feedback, again, I'll be able to better articulate how you want this rule. And then once I present it again, or once you see it again in a different version, you can say, okay, now this is too much detail, or now if you could just take this and this out, I think that's enough to, let people know when they read this, how the commission interacts with the selection committee. And I know that's been like the big topic for the last few minutes, but the selection committee, it's already outlined who picks them, how many members, all of that in the arts plan. So that part, and I think that's what was kind of referenced before, is that if we just reference this plan, then they have a reference point that they can go pull up the cultural plan that has the public art plan in it, that outlines how the selection committee works, how it's picked, who's picked, and how they operate within the overall plan.
I just want to make a comment. It feels very hairy and scary and unable to be picked up and wrapped your arms around at this moment. But I promise you, once you start and once you do it, you're okay. I totally get it. It just is like a very complex thing. It's like, what's that big, hairy, scary thing that you can just never pick up? It's always falling out of your arms. This is what that feels like. but it will not feel like that when you start doing it. I promise you.
And I'm going to try to pull together a case study so that you can watch it go through the process, not a real one, but just an example. So it'll make it a little bit more clear as well, I think. But yeah, please go maybe revisit that hefty document at the end there.
And this
Anything
will be
else?
the last thing I say is remember that you as the commission can change these rules anytime you see fit. So even if you adopt rules at the next meeting and then you start meeting and you start having discussions and you're like, well, that really doesn't work. Now that we're in practice, I can see how that doesn't work. You can change these rules at any time that you please, obviously with a majority vote. But at any time you can change these rules. These are your rules and you have the authority via the ordinance to modify these rules as you see fit as you're working within this commission.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Bonche. So moving along, we really don't have any new business because this is new. But I would like to reiterate that our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 7th, 2021, 3 o'clock to 4:30. Are there any additional comments or questions? No? Okay. So if there are no further comments or questions, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Well, Summer, just to
Oh,
step
I'm
in
sorry.
really quick,
Yes.
sorry. Now that you all have voted on your officers, your chair can now move for approval to end the meeting. Someone will second that, and then the chair will say all in favor and everyone will say aye. Now that you have officers.
Perfect.
Hey, Kat.
Okay, Kat.
What do I say again?
So you'll move for approval of adjourning the meeting, and then one of your either fellow officers or members will second that, and then everyone in favor say aye.
Okay, cool. So I can just say move to approval to adjourn meeting.
Yes,
Cool. Does that count?
that does count. And then someone else will second that.
Second.
And then Madam Chair, you'll say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I need to say anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
That's when the meeting will be adjourned. So we'll have it next time, but just wanted to kind of get you guys in the swing of it.